The Golden State Warriors Dynasty is officially over after losing 118-94 to the Sacramento Kings in the play-in round this year, and it's the third time in the last 5 years that they will miss the playoffs, and some of those misses were due to injury, but I think it's safe to say that the Warriors will have a lot of major decisions to make throughout this offseason, especially after the major story of tonight was Klay Thompson in 32 minutes scoring 0 points on 0 for 10 shooting and 0 for 6 from 3. This core of Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry has not got the job done the past couple of seasons since their championship run, and I think it's time for the Warriors front office and management to really consider what the future of their franchise holds, both in the short term and long term. And they have a bunch of different options, but the option to keep this current core together does not seem like their best option whatsoever and does not produce winning basketball. And Steph Curry is still an elite player in the NBA, averaging around 25 points a game this season and still being considered to be a top 3 point guard in the entire league. And even in this playoff game, he scored 22 points and had 4 rebounds, but his core outside of himself could not get going. And Draymond Green only had 12 points, Wiggins only had 12 points, and the other starter in Trace Jackson-Davis only had 2 points and 1 rebound in 11 minutes. And this team has failed Steph Curry time and time again in the past couple of seasons, and it's time to consider whether the Warriors' best move is really to trade Steph Curry to a different team in exchange for draft picks or young players, because the Warriors really have no assets really to speak of, as they've traded away young players and draft picks, most notably Jordan Poole to the Wizards for Chris Paul over last offseason in order to compete around Steph Curry, but even that has not worked, as they were the 10 seed this year, and that was only because Steph Curry willed them throughout the last portion of the season, going 8-2 in their last 10 games, and he willed them into that play-in spot, only for a shot to lose to the Kings by 24 points in the 9 versus 10 seed game. And even if they had won this game, I don't believe that they would have beaten the New Orleans Pelicans in the next game to advance to the 8th seed. And this is a major factor into the Warriors' decisions going forward, as they need to find a way to get either young players or draft assets, as their whole core and most of their roster is aging right now, and the young players that they do have on roster in Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga have not turned out the way that they want to. Kuminga has shown flashes, and if he is put as the number one option on the team, he may continue to thrive, but outside of him, there is not a lot of talent or draft capital that the Warriors possess going forward into the next few years. And if they really want to, they can possibly scrape together a few deals for Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green to try to win now with Steph Curry, who is still a top 10 player in the NBA. But I think the most logical explanation and process for them to go into right now is a rebuild where they trade Steph Curry to a team that's a bit more prepared for the win now situation, for multiple first-round draft picks in the future, and try to build up their roster from the ground up again, as they did in the past when they drafted Steph Curry, drafted Draymond Green, and drafted Klay Thompson back in the early 2010s. This is only the third time the Warriors have missed the playoffs since 2012, when this dynasty really began with a young Klay Thompson, a young Steph Curry, and a young Draymond Green. Regardless of the direction that the Warriors go going into next season, I think it's safe to say that the core of Klay, Draymond, and Steph Curry will not be on the team going into next year, because based on how much money they are paying these three players and how much production they're getting in return for that payment is really not enough for them to be justifying paying all these three guys for the next few seasons. And as sad as that is for Golden State fans and NBA fans alike, as we've seen this dynasty together since 2012, it's how it has to be if the Warriors want to have long-term success and short-term success as well. And that might even mean trading Steph Curry, because he can still get a number of high draft picks or a combination of draft picks and young players due to the fact that he still has an elite offensive game at this age and still has a number of seasons left where he can still contribute as a number one option or even a number 1B option on another team. And if there's a team that is one piece away from competing for a championship, they could look for a Steph Curry type player who is at the end of his career, but still able to provide what a team may need. And this trade may net the Warriors more or the same amount as the Portland Trail Blazers got back for Damian Lillard this past offseason when they sent him to the Milwaukee Bucks, who needed that secondary star alongside Giannis. And they got back Jrue Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, and 2 Bucks pick swaps as well as a first-round pick, and ended up trading Jrue Holiday over to the Boston Celtics as well for even more draft assets. And if the Warriors can get this kind of haul for Steph Curry, or even more, because Steph Curry has a lot more influence in the league than a Damian Lillard does at this point in his career, this Warriors team could be set up for long-term success through a rebuild if they make the right draft decisions and develop players in the proper way, which they've shown they are capable to do with guys like Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson. And if you could trade Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green for lesser packages that still get you mediocre to solid players or picks, maybe a late first-round pick for each of them, or multiple seconds and a young player, or something of the sort, this Warriors team could still bounce back in the next couple seasons and be relatively decent and go into a rebuild similar to that of Portland, where they have a lot of young, interesting pieces and a lot of draft capital coming up and have a lot of hope for their future. But if they keep this team similar to what it is right now and don't make any changes over the offseason, this team will be stuck in a situation like the Chicago Bulls are right now, where they have no real chance at contention and no real future either, because they've spent all their assets trying to still compete around their aging core of players. And with the Warriors, as a Warriors fan, it'll be tough to see a guy like Steph Curry go, or Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, because they've been in this organization for so long. And Steph Curry has been the face of the franchise and the NBA for so long that it'll be weird to see him in another uniform. But if the Warriors can get substantial picks and young players back for him, I think that with a logical point of view in mind, that it would be completely worth it for the Warriors to pull off this trade. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know if the Warriors should and will trade Steph Curry this offseason. And let me know if they have a legitimate chance of running it back and getting a playoff spot next season. God bless you all. I hope you have an amazing day. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content and so we can get the channel to 1,000 subscribers by the end of April. God bless.